So what we want to look at now is just to think about some more of the uses of radioisotopes. And two such uses are they can be used for medical purposes, like we're going to talk about, and they can also be used in the food industry as well. So if we take, for example, cobalt, what's called cobalt 60, and this here is what it looks like. So cobalt 60, and cobalt 60 is radioactive, and so it's what's known as a radioisotope. And with cobalt, so if we think about what does that mean if it's radioactive, it means that the nucleus of the cobalt element, it actually gives off radiation spontaneously. And in the case of cobalt 60, the radiation that it gives off are these gamma rays. And if we think about gamma rays, what are they like? So gamma rays are it's just like a radiation that passes through. There's no charge on it. It's not positively or negatively charged. It has very, very high penetrating ability. So if we have a look here at this, so what we have is, so gamma rays, we can see that it'll just pass straight through a sheet of paper, straight through 5 millimeters of aluminium, and it takes actually really, really thick lead or a really thick piece of concrete, for example, to stop this gamma radiation penetrating through. So it's very, very, it's highly penetrated. It's very penetrating. It can just pass through material very easily. So it's not deflected by electrical or magnetic fields. So if you were to pass some gamma rays through like a magnetic field or an electric field, it's not going to interact with that field. It's just going to pass straight through. And the reason it doesn't interact is because it's not positively or negatively charged, and it is very, very damaging to human cells, and it's very damaging. It can actually, ironically, it can cause cancer, but it can be used to treat cancer, which is what we'll talk about. So if we have a look at this picture here, what we can see here is we've small samples of cobalt 60. So this is kind of what it looks like, and it's in a container. And if you see this, it will be encased inside something like this. That generally they be aluminium and lead inside as well. And what this does is it enables the safe storage of cobalt 60, and it contains the gamma rays that it emits. So gamma rays again are very, very highly they're very high energy radiation essentially, and what they do is they can cause a lot of damage, but like anything, you can actually direct that. If you think about a laser, for example, a laser can cause a huge amount of damage. It can be very damaging to cells, but you can use a laser to cut, to make incisions and cut as well. Like, so it just depends how you use it. So if we have a look at this here is the nuclear reaction for cobalt 60. So you see that we start off with cobalt 60. So cobalt has 27 protons. When it undergoes this spontaneous emission of gamma rays, it doesn't change, as in it doesn't lose protons or neutrons or electrons. It just emits this energy, and the energy that emits is gamma rays. And as I was saying, they're very highly penetrating. So what you can have then is you can have something here like this. So this is a patient who is receiving radiotherapy using cobalt 60. So essentially what you're going to have is, in this arm in here, you're going to have a cobalt 60 source. So imagine, so it's just basically you'd have something like this, and inside here you'd have your sample of cobalt 60. And this would be encased, sometimes they use tungsten, things like that, so there might be a little shutter like this. So what's going to happen is this cobalt 60 is just going to be spontaneously just giving off these gamma rays like this. And those gamma rays can't go anywhere because they're contained in here. So you have your source of gamma rays, and what they can do then is they can just open this up. So they can remove this, encasing that's on it. And what will happen then is these gamma rays will just start to pass through directed towards a particular target. So what they can do is, if you take a patient, for example, who has a cancerous tumor, so there might be a tumor here, for example, and essentially what happens is the gamma rays are like, they're damaging the human cells, but the cancerous cells are even more susceptible to damage by the gamma rays. So what they'll do is they'll direct these gamma rays onto the tumor, so they'll blast the tumor with these gamma rays. And essentially what that will do is, if you have a cell, for example, just let's say this is a normal healthy cell, when it gets hit with gamma radiation, like so, what it's going to do is it's going to break up and destroy the cell, or it'll damage the cell, or it'll cause it to break up. But also as well, likely the same thing when you have, let's say, a cancerous kind of tumor like this, what's going to happen is these gamma rays will come in and they will break up they'll basically essentially destroy and kill off the tumor, okay, and they might break it up into, kill off the cancerous cells that are present. And this is what's known as radiotherapy. So it's one of the uses of, for example, radioisotopes such as Cobalt-60. Now, it has its benefits in that it can kill cancerous cells and help to get rid of cancer in relation to the patient, but also as well it has side effects in that it not only kills cancerous cells, but it also destroys other cells as well. And this can be a particular problem when people go in for radiation, for radioisotope treatment. It has the side effects. The person experiences the ill effects on the healthy part of their body as well. So that's one of the uses, radioisotopes. So again, that high penetrating gamma radiation can be used to penetrate into a body, into a cancerous cell, or into a tumor, and destroy it, kill it. Now, this trait of gamma radiation, okay, the fact that it's highly penetrating and it can kill living cells, this can be also used in the process of what's known as food irradiation. So food irradiation. So again, the same principle is used. If you have, for example, you have your Cobalt-60 source here like this, and what we'll do is it just emits these gamma rays. So gamma rays, so these are the gamma rays. And if you have, let's say you have an apple here like this. Okay, no, it's not a great apple, but on that apple, on the surface and on that apple, you're going to have like microorganisms, and there might be bugs and things like that on the surface. Now, what will happen is, over time, those microorganisms and bugs and things will start to break down the apple and try and get the nutrients out for their own bodies. But when you blast it with radiation, what it does is it kills off, it essentially destroys these microorganisms without destroying the food. So what's going to happen then is you're going to have the food then essentially will be irradiated with this radiation, and it'll kill off the microorganisms, and it helps to preserve the food. So the good thing about it is as well, because we know, like what we've seen here, we can see that these gamma rays are very penetrating as well, so they can actually easily pass through. For example, you can prepare your food and package the food. So let's say if this apple, it's contained within a wrapping, that's no problem, because what can happen is the radiation will just pass straight through it, and it'll still get in and interact with the organisms and kill the organisms. So packaged food is passed through. So basically what they'll do then is, in industries and things where they prepare food and package food, they'll have a whole system set up where they can just pass through huge amounts of packaged food and irradiate it. And what that does is it helps to increase the shelf life and keep the product preserved, the product that they've made or the food they've preserved for longer periods of time. So The packaged food is passed through a radiation chamber on a conveyor belt. So you can have, so imagine this here. So you have your guys here, and they're packing this chamber full of food that needs to be irradiated. It's all packaged up. And what they'll do then is they'll pass this through. So let's say within here, this thing here, it's a water pool, but it also has the Cobalt 60 inside it as well. And this is just going to be spontaneously emitting radiation. And what the walls and things like this, they will be, they might even be made of lead or, really thick concrete. And what that does is it stops the radiation passing out this way. So the radiation really has only one way to go, and it'll go up. And then what you can do is you can pass your food. So this is your food here, and it's been irradiated. So again, this process here happens, like what we can see here. So the radiation will just pass up. So imagine these are strawberries that are being packed in here, and the radiation will just pass up here through the packaging, and it'll just kill all these microorganisms that are present on top of the strawberry. And then what you can do then is you can just take it out of this container, and then you can go on your way, and your food has been irradiated, and it'll last longer, and it won't spoil as easily. So it is passed through a radiation beam like a large flashlight, instead of coming in direct contact with the radioactive material. So again, like the food doesn't come in contact with the Cobalt 60, it just comes in contact with the radiation that the Cobalt 60 gives off. So this is what's known as food irradiation. So there are two uses of Cobalt 60. One is it can be used in medicine as a form of treatment for cancer, and the other one is it can be used as a way to preserve food. So you can irradiate food and kill microorganisms and insects and bugs or anything that's has got into the packaging or is present within the packaging. So they are two of the useful uses for humanity for radioactive isotopes such as Cobalt 60. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, and thank you for listening.